So thank you for joining me. I'm going to plug in my microphone here because it's a little bit windy, and hopefully all of this works nicely for us. Um, I'm excited to take us into the field here. How does that look, Brian? All right, wonderful. Yes. Okay, so I am going to just walk around a little bit, and we can see Brian right there going live. And so, as Brian said, I tend to look at the world through a land cover lens. And so, when I look around, I see the diversity of the grass, the pavement, the trees that are around me. And right now, it's been a lot of fun watching them blow around with the weather that's coming through. You can even see, the clouds are, rolling through. And I want to highlight that when we're doing these, oblique or ground images like this, we're getting that cloud. And this is important because it tells us something about precipitation, but it also tells us whether a satellite can actually see us, right? So, if you ever see clouds like this when you're doing your observation, you should get extra points because that is something that most satellites won't see. Okay, so I want to really highlight how valuable your data can be when it is, cloudy and stormy like this. So, let's go around and take a little bit more of a tour, and you'll be able to see, this nice building behind me. And one of the keys that I want to highlight is, the shadows that come off of buildings like this are pretty important, and they tell us something about how tall they are. Like Brian was showing us, that is one of the things that is recorded in our satellite images. Okay. But one of the things that I can't see from here is what color is that roof? Is it white? Is it black? Does it have trees growing on the top of it? Is it a living roof? And so this is one of those restrictions that I have that, our ground photos probably will never show us that. So we need to team up with satellites to be able to really see and understand the shape and the size of this building. Pro tip, if you have an obstruction like this, take a photo of it still. This is valuable information because it is an obstruction and tells us a little bit about our field of view, how far we can actually see. Very important. One of the other things that you should do if you have an obstruction like this, though, is to walk around and to do some additional photos and observations so that you can actually get that overlap that's there. Okay. So, I want to highlight, we've got our Globe participants walking around and joining us today with what we're doing. And so, this is a little bit of the context that you should expect at schools or at universities, right? Places where you have this interaction between features that are planted and maintained, and also, the buildings that are being used. Okay, so I want to see if I can flip around my camera right there and show you, I really like this particular location to do a tree height and land cover observation from. And let me tell you why. One is it is actually a circular area that it allows us to quickly see that from space. And so it becomes a really good reference location. And as we let people drive by, we can see that, in fact, one of our challenges for this is that I have to step down and then I have to step up. And we can't see the bottom of all of the trees over there, right? So that's one of the first things that I need to do is just make sure I can see what I'm trying to photograph here. Okay, so you see how much more clear that is where I can see the base of the tree. So what I'd hopefully like to be able to do here is, go over to our Globe Observer and we could do our photos. But I'm actually not going to open up the app and do that. I am just going to walk you through our protocol because it's a protocol. And so, if I wanted to take an observation of that particular tree over there, the first thing I would actually do is a land cover observation. And so, with that, I am actually going to try to go and do something kind of live, which is scary for me, but I am going to do this. And so here, let's try to share my screen and start broadcasting it. And so now if I go back to my screen here, I've got Globe Observer, and we're going to do a land cover observation. You can see I've been doing a lot of these. I have a streak going from yesterday, and let's add to that. So I want to really highlight how important this date and time piece is. And this is local time, and make sure that works for you. Then the other thing that I want to really emphasize that I think is something to consider is this location page, right? So it is incredibly important to click this reset button, and you can see how the point moves around a little bit, and my number for my estimated location changes around. So this works really nice when you've got Wi-Fi. So go ahead and do that. You can also double check with the satellite and zoom in if you need to make sure that you are really where you say you are. And since we have really high resolution imagery, why not zoom all the way in and really kind of compare, yep, I'm standing between those light posts and you can see the tree that we're aiming towards right there. So don't be scared to zoom in on your maps and make sure that you're really at that location. Then we are estimating our accuracy at this location. Surface conditions. So this is one that is important for a lot of reasons. One is it gives us some phenology. Snow and ice are a really important characteristic of why you might see the trees that you do in that location. So, same with standing water and muddiness. These are all things that we expect to change over time. And so you're actually doing some phenology mapping here with the leaves on trees question. So we'll add yes to that. And then it is currently not raining and snowing. So here is a really important piece, is we want to do that picture of the satellite going up. And then we also want to take a picture down of where we're starting our tree height measurement from. And so you can do it like this, where you rotate your camera and then you go and you get your up photo. It takes a little while right now, and then we roll down and we do our down photo. I want to specifically highlight that down photo, how important it really is to act just like a satellite and go straight down so that we are getting about a 1 meter square area that you can see here is asphalt and concrete, barren land surface, right? So next we want to do our directional photos, and honor, the 4 primary cardinal directions here. Again, it's good to have a backup and to know what direction is north and what we can expect in that direction. It relates to where we are in the world. In the northern hemisphere, I would never expect to see a sun in the north photo. If I was in the southern hemisphere, that's exactly where I would expect to see it. So just recognize that that's an important piece of what we're doing here. So I'm going to take pictures of this location. Got a car driving by. We'll let them go by. See my little technique here. And then we'll put the north direction into that location. And you notice that we've got a little bit of a lag going on, and that can happen. And so just recognize to give yourself enough time to go through the observation and wait for that green light to appear. And there we see Brian. So this is going to be one of those things that is probably going to be flagged in the database initially. And it's going to go under review. And we'll do the east direction now. Okay, here is our review of what we are actually seeing. And so, it's really important to double check your data and your connections to, show that you don't have to go back and redo your photos. Okay, so that right there is exactly what I want. At this point, I am just going to put in here that I am going to do a tree cover will happen to the see, and watch out for your misspellings to yours. Okay, so I'm just going to complete my observation right now. I am not going to analyze these photos. I could, and I probably, will at some point, but that is our basic land cover observation. So now one of the hardest things for me is going back to the main screen to then now do our tree height observation. Apparently I haven't been in here for a while, so I get the walkthrough screens, and I'm going in English. It still has all of my stride length and everything there, so we're ready to go now. All right. Happy guy. Same thing. Date, time. Again, because I'm standing right here, it's smart enough to recognize I'm in the same location. So I can just use those same observations. Now, remember, it could start raining, but luckily it hasn't today. Next, we're going to do our observation. And so, again, I'm holding this up to my eye level. I'll click it once, and yep, I'm happy with that. Now I will rotate my phone up, keeping the base exactly where it is to calculate the angle. So I'm happy with that. Again, take a photo right there. Now comes the fun part. You're going to walk with me across, and we're going to count steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and a half. So thank you for walking with me over here in 29.5. And we'll go in, and this is an interesting piece, right? We're standing underneath a tree, so I'm going to keep clicking this little reset button. And this is important because I do know a tree canopy will intercept and not give me exact coordinates. This is described in the GPS protocol of Globe. And so just be aware that we do our best here, but that's another reason why we take that first observation of land cover from where we are, so we can see that. Okay, that's it. I don't have my tape measure, so I can't do the circumference, and I am going to click finish. So at this point, we can see that the height of this tree is estimated at about 38 feet. Well, that looks pretty good, and we'll compare that to a couple other people who have measured this exact tree too. So I am going to add in a comment here that this is a needle leaf tree. And that's important because most of the trees around here are deciduous, and they lose their leaves during the winter. So I'm going to stop that one right there, and I've completed it. Again, I'm going to go back to the home page. Let's see if I can do it. All right, we're back at the homepage. Okay, so I'm going to bore you again with one more land cover observation to demonstrate why we want to get another observation here at the base of this tree. One, it gives us a way of having a second coordinate so that we can make sure we are actually in the right spot. And so you'll see again, it takes a little while for all of my information to load. But we'll go through another observation here. And again, you see initially starting off really, 18 meters, 9 meters. I expect this number to not be as good because I'm standing underneath a tree. But keep clicking that little reset button until you are happy or you have it really moved around. Again, this is a measurement that is happening rather than just placing yourself on the map. So this measurement has some uncertainty around it. Again, I can use the same surface conditions because nothing's changed during my observation. And now it's time to do our up and down. So by doing the up photo here, we are actually getting tree canopy cover and extent and what we can see from the satellite view. By rotating downward, here we are getting the root structure and the soil. We can even see examples of the cones or the needles that are in that location. By doing the directional photos here, well, my north view is obstructed because I'm standing at the trunk of this tree. But what this provides is actually a close-up photo of the bark color. In this case, you can actually see some sap, which might indicate that there is some issues that are health issues that are happening with this tree. What is also helpful is we're getting photos of the needle leaf type, and that can be used later to describe this tree type. If I rotate, here again, we are able to see the canopy of the tree and how where it starts off the ground and what it obstructs. Really interesting and different depending on where you are and whether somebody is trying to maintain that tree or not. Here we've got a squirrel running in that direction, which is nice. I'll take this southward direction where we can see much more. I'll rotate 90 degrees. It's really easy once you know one direction because you just rotate 90 degrees. Again, we have a bit of a mixed pixel, and I've only described one of these trees in this area. So again, I will verify my photos. I will add in here that I did a coincident tree height. And if you can remember, it was 38 feet. And so, I'm going to actually, at this point, add some feature photos. And this is something that is a new addition and allows you to choose what is important to you or your area and what you're trying to study. In this case, again, I want to highlight a couple of the different trees that are in this area. So I'm actually going to move a little bit and take a picture of this other area that's right nearby. I'm going to walk over and do a different canopy height so you can see that there's some differences in this location, right? And so I might continue doing that. And I will add one more feature photo because one thing you see is there's actually quite a bit of grass right around here. So with that, I could add in some captions about, tree height or tree canopy. And these notes are really helpful for you, for other people to understand maybe why you took it. And I'm going to complete my observation. Again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to not label these at this time. I'm going to go back to the computer once these have been loaded up, and I will do it there. And I recommend you might try that as well. But without labels, we really can't compare it to our satellite imagery. So I'm going to skip that for the moment and just finish this. And so, this is really, really, kind of helpful as we go through and look at this particular location. I want to highlight that we can actually pull up satellite imagery here. In the lower right corner, you see this little pixel map. This is what scientists are predicting at this location. And so you can see that, in fact, they are predicting that, or characterizing this area as being urban, red. Because of what we've been able to do, yes, in some cases, it is labeled and agrees that it is red urban areas. Yet we see the nuances of the trees and other things that are in this area. So we try to do this really well in a way that we can compare it to other people's data. So I recommend, pull up this and report a difference. In here, I see trees, not years. So provide some information back and submit that report so that we can start to do this comparison of what we're seeing and what the satellite data is recording and being characterized as. So with that, I really appreciate you coming back and doing this wonderful tour with me. And with that, I really appreciate it. Yeah, here's our tree that we measured. And so with that, Brian, I'm going to send it back to you.